Hey, welcome back to Sport on the Go.
Welcome.
How's it going? We good?
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
Very formal.
I'm having vodka with no rocks today.
I'm
What?
having I'm having a cappuccino.
I don't know what Boris is having.
I'm having a cappuccino in honor of Ferrari.
Ferrari. That's what we're talking about today.
Talking about F1 today. A few ideas that I have about changing for Ferrari Formula One
Mm.
and celebrating
actually-
Ferrari. I think it's perfect
been an
timing.
interesting season, actually.
It's a bit competitive, but not competitive enough.
Still predictable in some ways, but I think we've had maybe some unpredictable events happen the last
Norris,
couple of races. Norris,
Sainz.
And then now, of course, the Monaco Grand Prix, which was very exciting to see what unfolded there.
Verstappen said it was a boring race, but that's because he wasn't first.
Maybe to him, but everyone else, I think, quite exciting to see.
I think the crash that happened, literally the first lap,
Yeah.
I think changed the trajectory of the race.
Well, this is what we were saying. This is what I said, I think, in our last podcast about, is it? It's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but are other teams and drivers causing these accidents on purpose? Just to, throw Verstappen and Red Bull off their,
It's that accident didn't look
Kill
like
their
deliberate.
mojo.
I think it just looked like
it was
just a
freak accident.
But I think, like as we said before, about how there needs to be some sort of change, and I think if it's a change in the race, if it's a change in the dynamic of the teammates, maybe get rid of teammates. I don't know, something that needs to change. And I think the main topic that we're going to talk about today is about maybe regulations that need to change and possible relegation and promotion. Because, like, I think
teams, so basically teams being relegated or promoted, obviously based, like if you're Williams, Williams and two other teams finish, bottom half, just like in football or in most sports, so they get
relegated.
So there's different divisions.
Yeah.
And then you get promoted, you get relegated.
And I think like that's what, like, if we, to be honest, like a lot of these teams, when they lost, they don't care. Like there's no what's the word, consequences. There's no, like, even financial consequences. They still get the same money. They don't care. You know what I mean? And I think, yes, for one thing, there's legacy teams and they've been there a long time. But we have to, I think, for creating even more revenue, for, like, obviously you can't go to the FIA and say we've got this idea unless they can make more revenue from it, right? And I think relegation and promotion definitely going to increase in competitiveness, in investment in the teams. Because, like, for me personally, if I was like Williams, for example, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, F1 will try. Maybe we'll finish 19th. Maybe we'll
I think maybe for Williams, the first couple of seasons or whatever it is, where they were struggling, falling behind.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt a bit embarrassed, or they just
they also changed leadership.
They were letting down the Williams legacy and all that. But I think now, after after a few years of just miserable performances,
getting drivers from F2, getting
they still kind of sit there as an F1 team.
Yeah.
Maybe they're kind of being used as that that like springboard for F2 drivers to come into the F1 and be part of the Williams team.
Maybe,
because there's not a lot of pressure, but you still get used to F1 as a driver. But I feel like, I mean, for how long would a team like Williams with that history be okay with just being that? Let's get all the young drivers from F2. Like, that's our role in the F1, instead of competing up there with Ferrari and Red Bull.
Like Williams looks like a stepping stone to something, and I mean, even they don't look like a stepping stone anymore. It's starting to look like people don't want to even race for Williams. It's like a random driver shows up. That driver doesn't even end up in F1 anymore. Like, if you look at, like, the previous drivers, many of them haven't been a driver from Mercedes or Ferrari. They picked from somewhere else. So, like,
or maybe it's like the owner's son gets to race just because he's there's some nepotism.
Are you throwing stones at Stroll now?
Just saying. out there.
Like, I mean, there's one thing about being nepotism, like being, what's the word?
Nepotimistic. I don't know.
I don't know.
How do you even say
Well,
that? Well?
having nepotism in your team, but you have to be a good driver to be for nepotism. Otherwise, it just looks bad for you. Like, I mean, Stroll.
As the owner.
Yeah, as an owner. Like, I mean, like, yeah, I think that's not a good sign.
No, I'm just saying. It's like, you don't want to be that team.
No, you don't want to be, but that's what I'm saying. Like, here's an idea. So I'm gonna give you like a rough draft of my idea of what they should do. Okay. So you've got the F1 championship.
Yes.
Then you've got F2 and F3. Yes. So I would rebrand these.
Okay.
Okay. F1, F2, F3 will stay the same as that, but F2 is Division 2. Okay. F3 is Division 3.
Yeah. Then
you create a junior championship division itself.
Oh, so yeah, because remember, F2, they have different cars.
It's so okay, I'll get good input there.
Because you don't want to, if you drop down.
Yeah, you can't. So this is what you do. F2 and F3 use the same cars as F1. Okay. Everything is the same cars. Okay. So basically, the teams that are down there, if it's Red Bull or whoever's there, have to use the cars that are in F1. Okay. So that means the people in F3 will go into okay. So this is how it currently works.
So basically, you would still have, so for instance, Ferrari gets relegated to F2.
Yeah.
Right? It will still be the same drivers, Sainz and whatever, but they're going to F2 now.
They're going to F2 now, which means they're going to put eyes on F2 as well. Like, this is what I'm saying, like championship football, for example, or rugby, or whatever. People still go watch that because a high performing team got relegated.
Right.
So it's good for overall revenue, because like we have to think about this as revenue, because no one even cares if F1 there was no money to be made, it probably wouldn't even be as popular. You know what I mean?
No.
That's why it's popular, because of the revenue. Yeah. So F2, many people don't watch it. They watch it to see maybe there's a good driver here and there, but it's not popular.
No, well, obviously not, because I think it's just not.
There's no draw. There's nothing drawing them.
Yeah. Not publicized as much.
So, I think if you have F2 being like the second division, F3 being the third division, then you got the junior, and underneath that is the kart. Like, they go from karting to
kart up to.
So the championship, junior championship, will be the F2 and F3 cars.
Yes.
Like combined, right?
Yeah.
Then F3 will be like starting to use the new cars. Do you understand?
Makes sense.
But F2, like when you get relegated to F2, okay, it's like this real second division championship.
Yeah.
If you get relegated from F2 to F3, you basically now look. It's not. Firstly, it's not financially like viable. There's no eyes on it.
Financially, yeah.
So obviously F2 will be more competitive, which is what you want, and F1 will be more competitive. Now, if that does happen, then you would allow team like Andretti.
There would be space for
new teams. Like yeah, exactly. So that's how you can bring in new teams, but via the junior championship.
Because of that system of being promoted
and relegated. So they would get into the junior championships. They'll put their car there, register. So there you would have like 20 teams that'll play. And if you lost in division junior championships, you relegate. Like you're out of the tournament.
Totally out.
So a complete new team can come in every year, which means there'll be a lot of teams coming up with ideas of entering, more investment, more companies coming with the cars, more, Red Bull, Lotus, whoever, you know what I mean? So it's a good idea for firstly moving the franchise forward, because right now I'm tired of the team thing.
It's stale.
Like for me, I'm tired of even the team dynamic. You have 2 drivers per team. I don't like that. I really don't like 2 drivers per team. For constructors is one thing, but I mean, it's so boring when you've got number 1 guy has to move out the way for the guy who's leading the championships.
Yeah, but that's just strategic moves by the team.
Now, I understand strategic moves if you're like 4th and you say, okay, stop this guy from getting forward so your teammate can win. Yeah. But it's when it's 1 and 2 and then you still have to move out the way. That's where the problem comes in.
Yeah,
because
it's not fair. I think for
the winning dynamic. Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, with this, like, if it was that sort of system where there's teams getting relegated, promoted, all that, how would the financial structure work across? It's like, for instance, if you talk about football, the English league, right? If Man City's got all these stars and all these big players.
Mm-hmm.
If Man City were to get relegated
to the Championship,
obviously, like, the team as a whole, would still have the money, but I feel like some of the players might leave Man City because they'd rather go and play this, stay in the Premier League or go play in Real Madrid, whatever it is, than to be playing in the second division. So my question is, like, say for instance in Formula One, if Ferrari gets relegated to Division 2, do you feel like the current drivers would stick around, or they would go to a team?
Well, I mean, you'd make sure that there's no like buyout clauses and stuff like in the football. Like right now, if you have a contract, you're stuck. That's how you keep plus you need eyes on the championship.
Yeah.
So you would allow them not to be sold. They won't be allowed. It's almost like a life sentence in your contract.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's 3 years, you're there for 3 years. Even if you're relegated, you have to drive your way back to them. Because also these drivers want to show, well, firstly, how did you get relegated? You're the driver who got relegated. Means you need to improve yourself because no one will buy you.
True, but
no one will. Why would anyone hire you as a F1 driver if you relegated your team?
Okay, but it's not always the driver.
Well,
it can also be the car. So, for instance,
well, I mean,
would Red Bull, right? I mean, Red Bull has parts from all over the place.
Yeah.
They've got the Honda engine and this and that.
Yeah.
Do you feel maybe, like, say for instance, Honda would be, obviously Red Bull is a winning team. They're happy to let Red Bull use their engine and that kind of stuff. Do you feel that if they get relegated, Honda would still be like, willing to give the engine to Red Bull, or they'd be like, well, you guys are like second division now?
Well, I mean, I think you still have to stick with contracts and stuff. It's got like nothing to do with you have to, like, even if sponsorship, like if a team is relegated, the sponsorship's still 5 years, 6 years. You have to be sponsored.
If that's in the contract.
Yeah, if the contracts, but I mean, contracts will start getting changed. Like if you're relegated, then sponsorship is cancelled and stuff.
I think it would bring a lot of.
I mean, it'll bring a lot of change, which I think to adapt to that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to do it slowly. So the best way to do it is to start with. You go from Division 2 to Division 3. Start with the 2 and 3. Okay, then you can move it up to F1. Because for me, if Division 2 like basically you started off with, let's use the season for example. If right now you had to choose the team, whoever's at the bottom of the table, let's say, gets relegated to Division 2. Division 2, whoever's first will go to Division F1, right? The only thing is, there should be a payment, like a parachute payment. Right, same like in the Championship to the Premier League.
Yeah,
you get like £200 million when you arrive in the Premier League. So you would get that parachute payment when you arrive. Okay, that will help the team probably hire more people because the F1 is a little bit more challenging, more what's the word? Competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, Championship will probably be more competitive if there was promotion and relegation. So they will all be competitive.
Yeah.
But there has to be some sort of improvement in, like, an F2 driver that comes to the F1 has to learn a whole new way and a whole new competitiveness, and that's why some drivers look incompetent when they arrive in a new team and they finish 10th or whatever. It's not the driver; they have to adapt. Now, if the adaptation starts in F3, and then F2, then that driver will be so like experienced by the time it gets to F1 that they'll all be experienced at that level. You know what I mean? So I think that'll add a little bit more competitiveness, more people will be watching more Formula 1 from the young age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll see younger drivers more focused to at least get to F3, F2,
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, I think every young driver's goal is to get to F1 anyway.
but I mean, if you know that once you get to F3, somebody at F1 is going to be looking at you. You know, like it's not like this
Yeah,
pot of people are like, oh, let's get this guy as our reserve driver. No, he could be an actual champion driver. You know what I mean? Like you don't see that. Like you watch F3, you're like, these cars are not the same. Like, oh, this guy's he
they're not the
won.
same
He
cars.
he won. Well done. But he's using like the third division version of car.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I think this version would be amazing for
but
the movement of F1.
how would that look like when you first introduce that, right? Like, will you will it just be your like how would you get the rest of the teams in, or the rest of the cars in Formula 2 and Formula 3? Because like right now, um, because
So there'll have to be a transition year,
yeah, because
basically.
like for instance, like say if right now the way it's
Yeah.
structured, if Red Bull or Mercedes or whatever, or even Williams, got relegated
hmm
to F2, they would pretty much dominate that anyway. Because I mean, the rest of the cars are not
Well, there's
built. They're not built to compete with the F1 cars.
no. So this is what I'm saying. There has to be a transition period. So basically, you have to get the F1 cars to F3 to F2. Okay, all of them have to be manufactured
Yeah.
to that standard
First, and then
first. Then once all of them are implemented, it's a 2-3 year movement
yeah.
transition. So once those cars are implemented in F2, F3, then you start the relegation process. So basically, that season 2030, let's say that year, you say from this year, whoever finishes second and third from bottom, or whatever, that's the relegation. And then second, same like in the championship, where fourth to sixth playoff, like they race off with each other. It'll be more
Yeah.
more revenue for TV, for everything. And that's the thing. It's not even. It's just to like you only see one weekend. Like people always go when you see social media, unless you're really following F3 and F2, it's no way. Like there nothing's trending. Nobody cares. Like, oh, who's this random driver? You know how many times you see like Red Bull picks a driver, you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Because nobody knows about F3. Then that guy was so good.
Yeah.
No one was. He was so good in F2. You don't even know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the similar thing that's happening with Formula, is that you don't. There's so many good drivers that many of these teams you don't even have a clue, and you're like, oh, Stroll is there because he nepotism. No, maybe it's because that's the only driver he could pick because he probably doesn't even watch F2.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a good driver, but he's seeing them in an old car, in a downgraded car, and they're not winning in that car.
Right.
So it looks like, oh no, he's not good enough. And I think that's a good way to push the industry forward because it's very stale.
It is very, yeah. I just feel like, yeah, there would have to be a transition period. Like, you also don't want a lot of the teams that get put into F2 and F3 if it's sort of structured that way. You don't want teams that are like Red Bull when it's just like it's not an actual car brand.
Well,
like
I think we need we need to be careful with that because many of these car brands
still, yeah,
you
like
Andretti is not Andretti is using like I don't know like multiple parts as
like
well.
What I'm trying to say is it'll be nice to see like BMW and Fiat and
Audi and all these
and Audi and some of these other guys get introduced, but then it will be like would Audi, for instance, be okay if they introduce this new system? Do you think a car manufacturer like Audi would be okay being placed in the lowest division? They'll be like, no, we've got all the money, we've got all the resources. Why don't you put us straight into F1?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying this is a way for them to bring people in without having any legal issues. Because right now, let's say for example you're Audi, you cannot enter Formula One. Now you have to You have to wait for certain contracts, for terms and conditions, for maybe Williams' contract after 100 years or something with FIA or something. You have to wait. Like this, you actually, it's same like in football. If you, let's say we created a club, football club, we will go to a blue square league, like a non-league.
Yeah.
But we make our, make a way up, and we spend a bit of money and you can develop. And I think that's the best way for a team to actually show that they,
makes sense.
Plus they'll learn the dynamics of Formula, because I can imagine you put a team in Formula One, like immediately out Formula One, they finish last. That looks bad for the image of the team as well. They don't learn the dynamics of Formula. They don't even learn the dynamics of like, there's one thing about doing racing in cars and one thing about Formula One. It's completely different. You can see it. You can see when Mercedes is struggling, but Mercedes in a rally and Mercedes and stuff is so much better. That's what I'm saying. It's such a different dynamic.
It is different. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it makes sense what you say. Like to all these contracts and things that are in place. I mean, like, you know, Haas, for instance. You know, Haas, not a good performer. You know, but you can imagine, like, you know, they, I mean, still sort of like mid-table, if you know, call it that. They're like, you know, they wouldn't necessarily be, you know, be relegated, but they won't be champions. So yeah, it would be unfair to like take them out of the equation
and bring Audi. Just to put Audi. That's what I'm saying. There has to be some sort of.
So even, you know, like, I mean, even if you look like a bunch of wankers, you're still competing. You know.
I miss that guy.
You're still competing, so it wouldn't be fair to be like, oh, just because Audi has more money, we'll just switch you around.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, you have to have a promotion and relegation system that makes it even more competitive for people. Like, if I came up with a car and I wanted to enter Formula One, it's not possible. You cannot. Even if you have like the best driver, you're stuck watching Hamilton move to Ferrari because Mercedes is stuck.
He must be excited for next season. I think.
I mean, look at Mercedes.
I think he's like, you know,
he knew that nothing was going to change. That's why
seeing Ferrari actually, you know, Sainz has got a win. You know, he's got a pole this season. You know,
Leclerc is improving podiums. You know,
he's got a podium.
And he's got a couple of podiums now. So he's like third, and
so I feel Hamilton's like, yes, next season I'm gonna finally get my first podium in, like,
as long as they keep what's his name, the racing director guy that they have in Ferrari, you know, the bald guy.
Yes.
Since he's arrived, they've changed everything, and I think Bono was okay, but
I think maybe just not good enough.
I don't know. But anyway, so like basically that's what I wanted to discuss today. So if
that's an interesting concept,
like the idea of like every sport has relegation and promotion, and I was thinking it should be.
I think I just feel that maybe F1 for a long time has maybe just had more money than most other sports. I think
maybe
not as relegated. I think, like, if you look at you know, leagues, I mean, like football leagues, and, you know, the other divisions, you know, the teams in the lower divisions, you know, don't really have that much money. They don't have the same sort of sponsorships and things like that. I mean, in F1, it's always been, you know, you're an F1 team, and you get, you know, deals from Shell and from, you know, when they used to advertise cigarettes, it was like, and there was
Marlboro,
a lot of money that was always thrown at these things, especially F1. So I feel that there just has to be maybe that shift in mindset, and like, how about we just try something different?
Yeah.
I feel maybe there's just a lot of people that
they're stuck in the old mindset.
Keep that
like the idea, like power. As you said, like with Marlboro and Shell and all of that, they can still sponsor people in the third division. And they can make their way up, and that's like a success story. You know, like you hear all these like small teams like Wrexham, and I'm going to use that as an example because that story. They're going to be in the Premier League very soon, and that's the kind of thing that's missing in Formula. It's like, oh, who's going to be the champion? You're like, oh, maybe Ferrari, maybe Red Bull, maybe Mercedes, and you're like, what about the others? What are they for? What are they there to do?
Yeah.
So what are they there
It'll
for?
be great. I mean, yeah, it'll be amazing to see, Haas, for instance, like
Win a championship.
Imagine. I mean, that's what we saw with Leicester City.
Yeah,
win the Premier League.
exactly. And
Even if it's like it's a fluke or it's a
It's
thing
a
that
random-
happens like once every 100 years,
Yeah.
whatever. It will be cool to see like a team like that's just out of nowhere,
nowhere
kind of
wins the thing. Yeah.
show up and
And
show Ferrari like this is how you actually race.
No, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like there has to be some sort of change, and I think it's a very radical idea that I'm coming up with.
Sometimes you
It's
need
completely
radical.
changing the whole
Yeah.
structure and system. It's going to take a couple of years.
Sometimes you need radical.
So
That's what makes change, being a bit of a crazy.
and I think if I'm going to put this together, maybe one day you'll see it will be sponsored by Sport on the Go.
Well, let's put a petition together. Maybe we can do that and get people to.
Okay, good idea. So I'm going to leave in the link in the description petition.
Let's see. Maybe we can get the FI to tell us to. But you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I'll send it to them and let's see what it says.
If we get a response, at least it's something.
Yeah. Maybe down the line we'll see it implemented without us.
Yeah,
But I'll be happy because I want the thing to be implemented.
Yeah.
But I'll be disappointed they didn't say yes.
I think let's put a petition together.
Okay.
Why not?
I like that idea.
Go sign.
So go sign. I'm going to leave it in the description.
Go sign.
Go sign it.
Let's see
Now.
a radical improvement in F1 competitiveness. That'll be great. Yeah, I like it.
What do you think? Let us know.
Let's turn this concept into reality and see.
We'll revisit this in 2030.
Then we can all like decide.
It's nice to be able to. I don't know the word. What am I trying to say? It's nice to be able to impact a sport that you like. That's the thing. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, would be nice.
Maybe
someone else win. That's just what I want to see. I just want to see some competitiveness, someone fighting.
I just want to see people in the bottom of the table be angry that they lost.
Have an opportunity. Well,
no, I want to see them angry that they lost. Like, not going, oh well, next season. Oh well, we'll try again. Yeah. Oh well. No, that's what I want.
Yes.
Let us know.
Yeah.
If you like our idea.
I think it's a great idea. Boris deserves a Nobel Peace, not a Peace Prize. I don't know.
Nobel Sports Prize.
That's a thing.
Sportsman of the Year. Just give it to me. Sports Idea of the Year. I don't know.
Boris deserves Sportsman of the Year.
Sportsman of the Year. I like that title.
All right. Cool.
Sportsman of the Year.
I like it.
Cool.
Awesome stuff.
Let us know in the comments what do you think of the idea.
Yeah.
Any other ideas that we can put in the petition?
Make sure it's signed with your real name. Don't come up with some fake stuff. No. We want real people here, not bots. Real people with real opinions.
What if their name looks like a bot name? Unlike
have a conversation with your parents. God damn.
And on that note, we'll check you next time.
Check you guys next time. Cheers.
Cheers.